Hey guys, it's Drummond. So I told you guys some stories in part one of the ghost stories. So part two, I'm going to actually tell some stories about our family's cabin. So this place has had so many different horror stories that I've experienced up here, and I wanted to share them with you in part two of my ghost stories for my channel. So I feel like when it comes to ghost stories, a lot of people are skeptical of it, and I will tell you that a lot of my friends have been skeptical about the stories that I've told them about this cabin. But since I've been bringing my friends up here to show them the cabin, it has never failed to surprise my friends with activity that goes on up at this cabin. So not too long ago, my boyfriend and I were actually up here taking a bath in the nice bathtub that we've got in here, and we were laying in there, and this was kind of at the beginning of our relationship, so we were actually just in our bathing suits. We were kind of treating the bathtub kind of like a hot tub, and we were actually laying there talking, and we both started to hear some music, which was a little bit creepy. So the bathtub that we were in is actually right over here, and we were sitting there, and it wasn't like normal type of music, it was kind of old music. But once we got out, because we were a little bit freaked out, we couldn't find the source of the music. And it wasn't like when we walked out of the bathroom it got louder. It was actually pretty monotone the entire time. It was kind of like background elevator type music from maybe like the 50s or 60s, but we couldn't figure out where it was from. And at that point, my boyfriend hadn't really heard many of the stories, because he actually had told me on one of our first dates that he really liked cabins. So I was like, aha, I am going to show him my family's cabin, because it's a beautiful cabin and I wanted him to experience it without being scared of it. So I didn't tell him anything, and it really freaked him out. But after that incident, I really didn't want to hold back any of the stories from him, because I felt like he had the right to know. I would say one of the scariest moments that I've experienced was when I was actually here by myself. At the time, this was the only place that had internet, and I was actually sitting over here in the kitchen working on some stuff on my laptop here at the bar, and I heard some noises. I was actually sitting there working on a YouTube video, and I heard something upstairs, and then out of nowhere, it sounded like someone actually ran from this door towards the steps over here. And I was too scared to stick around. My cat was actually with me, and my cat freaked out as well. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get out of this house. I left my computer and everything in the cabin and took off to the truck. I was actually trying to get into the truck, but because the truck actually has some security features where you have to like push the key in, pump the brake, and move a gear to get it started, I was actually too freaked out to actually get the truck started. And while I was in the truck, the lights in the house started coming on, and I was the only one in this cabin, so I knew there was something in this cabin that was not human. And I literally just grabbed my cat and we booked it down the hill, which is probably about half a mile down to get to my house, and I did not care. I was willing to run through the dark woods instead of being here in this cabin at night. So since that, I really kind of avoid the cabin at nighttime. As you can kind of tell, it's starting to get a little bit dark. It's about 6 o'clock here, and this is about as dark as I will let it be when I'm here alone. So the next morning after, when I came back up here, because I had left my computer and everything, I came up and all the cabinet doors were open. I actually messaged my family and I was like, hey, you guys, this isn't funny. No jokes. Please tell me who opened all the cabinets and stuff and took stuff out of the cabinets and had it all laying out. And no one had been up to the cabin. So to this day, I still don't know who was up in this cabin messing around with stuff. So recently, the hot water heater stopped working at my house down on the bottom, and I've been having to come up here before work and after work to take showers. And since I've been up here, nothing has really like stood out and been extremely scary, but just the few incidences that I've had up here since this cabin has been built, I'm a little bit weary when it comes to being up here by myself. So after the incident of me being here and hearing the sounds of someone running, and it wasn't like a child, it was kind of sounded like a grown man coming down the steps. But since that time, I actually came up here and had to edit another YouTube video to post it, and I really creeped myself out. So I was like, you know what? It's getting dark and I don't want to hear anything. So I brought my headphones in and I was like, I'm just going to listen to music really loud and I'm not going to freak myself out. There's nothing in this cabin. Couldn't possibly be anything up here. I was editing my video, and in the middle of editing my video, I kind of caught out of the corner of my eye something walk past this window in the kitchen, which was right in front of me. But because I was looking at the computer, I was just like, okay, I'm just kind of seeing things. It's my reflection. But then I was actually editing my video and I heard something behind me. And when I looked, I actually saw something move across these windows on the outside deck. And this is a wraparound deck, so my mind started going crazy because the thing that could have passed this window over here could have gone all the way around the cabin and walked right past these windows. I freaked myself out a little bit, so I was sitting there trying to finish up the video and let it post, and then I heard something over my headphones saying, "Get out." So I was like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. So I actually ran out and grabbed my computer this time because I did not want to leave it up here, and I ended up not coming back up for a while. I actually ended up moving away from this area after that. It wasn't because of the ghosts or anything that was happening here. It honestly was just I had a better opportunity, so I moved and did that. I've recently moved back to this area and still a little bit freaked out about this cabin. But this is the upstairs, and this is kind of the door that I heard the footprints come up to, and those are the steps there that it was running towards, and it really freaked me out at the time. Been up here several times. You've seen videos that I've done with Jasmine, and this is where I did my video with my boyfriend as well. But it still freaks me out to be up here by myself. So a lot of people have actually tried to talk me out of things being in this cabin and being spooky, and one of the things that they've told me is cabins, they have to settle, like the wood is going to crack and settle, and yes, I've heard the cabin do that. The cabin has definitely settled, and there have been several times where I've heard it crack and kind of set off like a ripple effect of cracks in different pieces of wood, and there's definitely a lot of cracks in the wood that weren't here when it was first built. So I completely understand that theory, but the sounds that I've heard were definitely not cracking of wood. And so my friends have come up with a lot of different theories of what they think it could be. My one friend thinks because this house is full of antique stuff that it could possibly be maybe a spirit or something that is attached to one of the older items that were brought into this house, because my grandmother actually decorated this house with a lot of antique furniture. Some of it came from our house that we had down on the hill. Other pieces of furniture were antique stuff she had found at antique shops around Virginia. So another theory that someone has had is that at some point this area where the cabin was built was actually a grave site for either slaves, because slaves used to work on this farm, or because we are in Virginia and there are tons of Indians around here. Some people have said maybe it's Indians, but at this point I really don't know what it is. A lot of my friends don't believe me, and then they come visit the cabin and freak themselves out. I actually had a group of my friends from college come up here, and they actually were walking through the house and the sound started happening, and they ran out of the house and left me here. And because I'd experienced those types of sounds before, I just kind of walked through the house and turned off the lights and locked the house up and left. But this place has definitely freaked out a lot of my friends, and I thought I'd share this with you guys. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd love to hear your guys' ghost stories. And if there's anything that you guys think or want to talk about when it comes to spirits and stuff like that, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.